Local trade looking set for another day of market pressure today, and it should be extended, or perhaps the watch is that the losses might be extended to try and see if that could exceed the 10%. Rella Suskin is head of research at Benguela Global Fund Managers, and she joins us now to talk us through the market developments there. Rella, good morning to you. I wonder if you were able to hear that intro. I may have been clumsy with it, but let's start with the JSE and how it opened in early trade. What's your assessment thus far?
Morning, yeah. So we've seen a slight recovery in the JSE trading this morning. I mean, we do kind of expect it to remain volatile over the next couple of days. Obviously, we saw large drawdowns across the globe yesterday, with the Fed expected to possibly increase rates now by 75 basis points, which was much higher than expected. But yeah, the JSE is trading higher. It's really, it's across all sectors. It's driven by the local stocks. Our rand is strengthening slightly from yesterday. And some of the good results from the likes of the Standard Bank helping to push the financial sector up.
Yeah, let's talk commodities. Oil prices inching lower after seesawing through the early trade today. Talk us through some of the sentiment that's influencing trade there.
Yeah, so there's three kind of key headlines around the oil price this morning. Firstly, on the supply side, so Libya is going through a bit of a political crisis, which has limited supply from there, and obviously that adds to the supply issues coming from Russia. So that supports the oil price. But on the demand side, looking negative. We're seeing possible further lockdowns coming out of China. There has been quite an increase in spread of cases in some of their very sort of highly concentrated population cities. So there is concern they may go into another round of lockdowns. And then also just on the back of global news, concern around a global recession as we possibly expect the Fed to increase interest rates faster than expected.
Yeah, let's talk company news now. Telkom publishing its annual results for the year, which ended 31 March 2022. How are their numbers looking?
Yeah, so it was quite a miss on the bottom line versus what the market was expecting. The market was expecting an increase of earnings in sort of mid-teen growth of about 15%, and the headline earnings per share saw growth of only 2.5%. It was similar across industry. We saw a similar trend for Vodacom, where they also missed bottom line growth. We really are seeing a reversal of what the telcos, they benefited through the COVID period as more people were working from home, and we're seeing a bit of a reversal there. So the weaker numbers are driven by weaker top line growth. Group revenue was down 1.1%. So the fast growth in the mobile business wasn't enough to offset the declining growth in their fixed line business. And then, just a bit on the outlook. It does look like their outlook has been revised downwards somewhat from their previous guidance. So now they're guiding to mid-single-digit revenue growth versus mid to high single-digit revenue growth.
Yeah, let's conclude the conversation with the ComAir liquidation application. That's set to be heard today. Talk us through the airline's assets and liabilities at this stage, and then the other people that I don't know whether there is much to be said about them, the rescue practitioners. What shall we say about them?
Yeah, well, there's not much that ComAir can do at this stage in time. They've really tried hard to raise funding to keep the business afloat. Over the last year, they've probably raised about 2 billion in debt through multiple sort of rounds of funding from different sources. Currently, their liabilities exceed their assets, so liabilities at about 4 billion versus assets at 3.5 billion. And they really needed an extra sort of 500 million in funding to sort of get them out of this liquidation situation, and they haven't been able to find this magical investor to do that. So it seems like the liquidation is likely to go through.
Yeah, well, it's terrible news, especially given the job losses that are now going to result of that situation. Rella Suskin, thank you very much for the time being, the Head of Research at Benguela Global Fund Managers.